So you're out on a scene and something cool happens and you think this would be great for Facebook or Twitter or maybe even Snapchat, but all you have is a phone with you. Here are some tips and tricks for shooting better video with your phone. Before you start shooting, you'll need to be familiar with your camera settings. Find the Settings app and click on it. Go down to Photos and Cameras. Once you get there, you'll have several options. If you scroll down to Record Video, you'll be able to fix your settings for videos. We shoot at 720p at 30 frames per second. There are also options for slow-mo if you want to get creative. Right above Record Video, there's also a setting called Grid. If you turn on Grid, it will give you like a tic-tac-toe overlay over your picture. That will allow you to frame up your shots in a more interesting manner. You want to keep your subject out of the middle of the screen. Keep them off to the side, maybe where the two lines intersect on the top left, top right, bottom left, or bottom right. That'll be more interesting in your composition. So we're off to a good start. We have our subject all framed up, but what are these black bars on the side? Well, the trick with shooting video is it's always got to be horizontal unless it's just going to a platform for phones, like Snapchat. Keeping your phone horizontal will make sure that the screen is filled when people watch your video, and we don't have to deal with those annoying bars. Now let's talk about framing. There are a few things you ought to know. First is headroom. Headroom is a term meaning the amount of room above your subject and below the top of the screen. You want enough headroom that the person doesn't look cramped or crowded on the screen, but not too much that they look tiny or insignificant. If a subject is looking one direction, you want to leave space in front of them the direction that they're looking. Otherwise, it seems awkward. Also, there's an imaginary line that goes from the camera to the subject. That's called the axis. You don't want to cross over the axis, meaning you want to stay on one side of the subject that you're shooting. So if you're on the subject's right side, stay on the right. If you're on the left, stay on the left. If you cross over, it will look like they switched directions, and it won't make very much sense to the viewer. If you want to tell a good visual story, the trick is having good sequences and a variety of shots. So use wide shots, medium shots, tight shots, extremely tight shots, and maybe even extremely wide shots. This will keep the viewer's eye moving around, and it'll make it more interesting. You can also use sequences, which means shooting the same thing from different angles, and that way you can edit them together to make them look like one fluid motion. For instance, here's somebody lifting weights. You could shoot it in just one shot of them grabbing the weights, sitting down, lifting the weights, putting them away. Or you could shoot each individual part separately and then edit them together. That sequence will make it look fluid. Pay attention to lighting. If you're outside, you don't want to put your subject in the shade with a bright light behind them. But if you do, and you can't get around it, then there are ways to fix it. Frame up your subject, and then press down and hold on the subject's face. A yellow box will open up next to your subject with a little light bulb next to it. That's a slider. You can slide that up and down to change your exposure. When the screen says AE/AF, that means you've locked in the auto exposure and autofocus. Now you can move the camera around and it won't change on you. If you're shooting something with a person inside, try to put them near a light source, like an open window. But don't put the window behind them, because that will backlight them. If you want to take your video to the next level, there's an option for editing in iMovie if you have an iPhone. Open the iMovie app and press the plus sign. Then tap Movie. At the bottom of the screen it will say Create Movie. Go ahead and tap that. You'll see a screen with a few panels on it. On the top there's a plus sign. Go ahead and hit the plus sign. Now you have an option for bringing different things into your project. If you want to shoot something out in the field and edit it at the same time, hit Camera. Now you can start shooting videos. Press the record button and then hit stop when you're done. If you like that video, click Use Video. Now hit the plus button again and repeat the process. This will put everything into one long timeline of your videos, and it will be edited in camera. If you need to fine-tune it, there will be options for that too. When you're all done, hit the Done button, and you'll have your movie. Then the little square with the arrow at the bottom, that will allow you to share it. You can post it straight to your social media accounts. There are a lot of options with editing. There are tutorials online that will teach you how to do it.